Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Hello and welcome to the Emerging India series presented by ICICI Bank and CNBC TV 18. We're celebrating 10 glorious years of the Emerging India Awards, which are a benchmark of SME excellence in the country. Now, mentoring has been a key part of Emerging India's DNA. And so this year also, we get some stalwarts of India Inc. to play mentor to some promising SMEs. And as we kickstart the series with this episode, we're looking at how important is it for an SME to build a brand story. The Indian economy is growing at a remarkable rate with a 7% GDP in the second quarter of 2015. And SMEs are playing a crucial role in developing businesses in urban and rural areas. The SME sector contributes about 8% to India's GDP, while nearly 90% of the industrial units in India belong to the SME sector. But one of the major challenges that SMEs face even today is the lack of effective marketing strategy. Brand building is an integral part of business development. It is not just about increasing consumer awareness around the brand, but also establishing an emotional connect and trust with the consumer. And in recent times, with some major players taking a hit on their credibility, it is more important now than before for companies to build good, credible brand stories. This week on the Emerging India series, we're joined by D. Shiv Kumar, the Chairman and CEO of Pepsico India region, who gives us his take on building a brand story and what it takes to maintain that brand. Pepsico entered the Indian market in 1989, and in a short time, the company has become one of the largest food and beverages multinational in the country. With a wide range of products from daytime snacks, beverages, evening treats and wholesome breakfast options. Their product portfolio includes 22 brands that generate over $1 billion in estimated annual retails.
Whatever business you are in, even if you are a one-man consulting company with a suitcase or a briefcase and a laptop, you have to pay attention to your brand. Okay, it's that which matters, and that's what endures a premium in the marketplace.
Pepsico captured the audience's imagination with their Crash the IPL campaign that challenged consumers to uncork their imagination and make a 30-second advertisement showing their love for Pepsi, and used the Live It Abhi platform to display their take on different challenges for amazing life experiences.
Drink Pepsi and crash the Pepsi IPL. Live It Abhi.
On the episode today, we meet Alok Agarwal, who's a first-generation entrepreneur and is the chairman and managing director of Ozone India, which is an architectural hardware solution provider, and he wants to find out how he can build his brand without breaking the bank on marketing and advertising expenses. Ozone Overseas is the leading player in architectural hardware, providing innovative hardware solutions for architects, builders and homeowners.
Early part of my career, I was taking care of steel factories along with my father. The steel was a little unorganized sector, so the need to do something different and something which really interested me. So I started moving around trying to scout for different business proposals, and I came across a company from Korea dealing in very high quality locks and similar products. So then I researched around and visited Germany in some exhibitions, and then I realized that this is really what I wanted to do. So essentially glass hardware is our mainstay. Then we also deal in locks, door closers. We deal in a large range of electronic safes. And then we deal with automatic doors, revolving doors, and you have these kind of products.
Started in 1999 by Alok Agarwal, the vision of Ozone Overseas was to build high-quality international-level products in India at affordable prices.
The manufacturing and the product quality in India was not up to the level what is used internationally. So we saw an opportunity in that, and that is how we started importing a lot of these products. And over a period of time, our brand and the company grew. And we realized that some of the products essentially can be manufactured in India using international technology, and they can be very cost effective.
Today, Ozone Overseas is seen at par with most of the multinational companies in the hardware trade operating in India.
Brand is essentially a promise of quality to a customer. So we did not at the initial part have a strategy, but we did the basic right, was deliver quality, deliver it at a price and a value which is meaningful for a customer, and we were able to offer a larger range of products and services. The brand became synonymous with quality. The brand became synonymous with the range being available to the customer as a solution.
One of the major challenges that Ozone Overseas is facing is to advertise the brand without breaking the bank. On that note, it's time for a very short break. On the other side, I'm in conversation with D. Shiv Kumar, the chairman and CEO of Pepsico India region, who will be telling me about the importance of building a brand and also maintaining that brand image. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Emerging India Awards series, and now I'm in conversation with the chairman and CEO of Pepsico India region, Mr. Shiv Kumar. Welcome to the show, sir. First question to you. Now, a brand is obviously really important to a company, and it takes time to build that brand, but it becomes even more important to maintain that brand. What should a company do when it comes under fire because of, either some mistakes made by the management or you could say a doppelganger brand image? What's your advice then to companies?
You're absolutely right. Brands are extremely important in today's world. If you look at today's world is not financially poor or health poor or education poor. Most of the 7 billion citizens in this world are time poor. And fundamentally, brands are time-saving devices. They help you save time because of the familiarity and the recognition that you have. Okay, and the best way to actually build a brand is to ensure that you continue to deliver on the promise, over-deliver on the promise, so that you build trust. So every time trust is shaken, I think the responsibility of a brand is to tell the truth in the cleanest manner possible. That's when consumers will actually trust you even more. So my input would be build brands, but be absolutely truthful, and anything other than that is non-negotiable for people who buy brands.
Now it's become even more complicated, even more tougher with the advent of social media, digitization, the mobile culture now, because a brand can be made or even broken by the consumer. So by way of Twitter, Facebook, just putting out stuff like that. So do you think brand faith has become a bit fickle now?
Yeah, it is, in the past, brands control all the communication with consumers.
It was one
Today,
way.
consumers control all the communication with brands.
Yeah.
So it's actually two consumers talking with the brand in the center as the center of attention.
Right.
The critical thing about responding in social media is to be what I call, you need to be humble. Okay, if somebody says something about you, have the humility to accept it. Whether they're right or wrong is not the point. Okay, have the humility to accept it, saying that is a point of view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second is, you need to be responsive. And third is, you need to respond by orchestrating the response in the company. Because the consumer is not just talking about brand. He will be talking about quality, he'll be talking about packaging, he'll be talking about something else, etc.
True.
So the company needs to orchestrate a response within itself. And hence, companies need to be organized differently in the way they talk to consumers. And that is not something Indian companies are doing well.
I want to come to one of your very famous ad campaigns, what you did with the Crash the IPL, because that was amazing to get consumer interaction. You went out actually to the consumer and said, you give us the ad idea and we'll use it. How did that come about, and what's been the feedback post that campaign?
I think user-generated content is something you will see more and more of in a connected world. Okay, India today has lots and lots of smartphones. This year will be the first year where India will sell more than 100 million smartphones. Okay, so that's a lot of smartphones, a lot of connectivity. And we said as a strategy that we'll ask consumers to make advertisements for us, and consumers will vote for the final ad. So we got panned in some advertising circles, people saying, okay, you hand it over because you don't have creative flair, etc. For anything you do, it's exactly the same point. But our intent was to create some buzz around the brand and get consumers to, do something for us.
Yeah.
And some of the ads were good, okay, because, they were, in a sense, representative of people's love of Pepsi. Okay, and what we found common was, I think, a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Okay, music played a very important role. and the product at the heart of the advertising. Those are the three similarities we picked when we saw all the ads.
Okay.
So we believe we got a decent response to it. And funnily, going back to your social world question, all the consumers voted for their own ads lots and lots of times and got all their families to vote for them.
To do it
So it had very high social media approval.
A buzz there.
Okay, but the advertising agencies and some of the creative gurus said, hey, what have you guys done?
When businesses are running and once they start becoming, top of the game or top of the market, sometimes there might be a newbie that comes in, and this doesn't happen much in FMCGs, but I'm going to be a bit tongue-in-cheek here and talk to you about Paperboat. This was this small company that came up, and people are now starting to talk about their juices a lot. How does, for a company like Pepsi, an MNC, a giant player in this space, how does that make you change your brand image, your brand strategy, your marketing strategy?
So when you're a large company, what happens is you focus on the large brands and the big opportunities. Okay, there will always be small opportunities which come across, and smaller, more nimble players get a much better foothold into that. Paperboat, in my view, great packaging, I think lovely products, and this whole thing of going back to childhood memories is a nice angle of attack. So I wish them well, and I know them well too. And as a large corporation, you can't react to every single thing which happens in the marketplace.
Of course.
Okay, you just have to take care of your base business first, and then innovate on the base to ensure that you are going into these areas. So specifically in the area of juices, if you look at it, we've just introduced a Tropicana Mossambi juice. First time ever, nobody's done it. So you're essentially competing against the street drink, somebody, the juice seller who's selling you this, or the wife cutting the Mossambi and making juice herself. So that we believe is much more of a broader opportunity for a company like Pepsico and a brand like Tropicana.
When you build a brand again, is this celebrity power? Or do people want to see a celebrity endorsing a brand and they'll follow it?
Yeah, celebrities started off by quintessentially being film celebrities. Now we have all types of celebrities. Okay, you have celebrities from cricket, you have celebrities from other sport, you have celebrities from the media, you have celebrities from other fields. Okay, so you have a much broader range of celebrities. Now here's what's happening. When it was all about film celebrities, and I think Lux was the first brand which did that, thanks to Danny Denker of JWT in 1930s or something. When you had a film celebrity, all the consumers were looking for was getting a peek into the celebrity's life through advertising. That's all a facet of the film star's life. Now, when social media is there, every single consumer who is a fan of somebody can follow him or her almost by the minute. So now, I think brands need to rethink why they would use a celebrity. And I think that becomes a little sharper. Okay. And one of the things about celebrities is, especially if they are in the performance area, whether it's films or whether it is cricket, etc., the fortunes of their game also matter when you use the celebrity. Okay, that's also another important angle that you need to think about.
And also sometimes when celebrities come under the spotlight for some negative point, that also has a bearing on the brand.
If a celebrity ever gets into issues of governance or ethics, then the brand has to move on, because consumers will not let you live that down.
How does the SME angle fit into this? Because brands, yes, they are important, but how important should they be for an SME who's at the moment struggling to maybe make sure that the product is good or the service that they're offering is good? How much attention should they be paying to brand, or should they not be worrying about brand at the moment?
Whatever business you are in, even if you are a one-man consulting company with a suitcase or a briefcase and a laptop, you have to pay attention to your brand. Okay, it's that which matters, and that's what endures a premium in the marketplace. So SMEs, if they don't pay attention to brands, will become commodity players. People will beat them down on price, people will beat them down on their payment terms. And here's the funny thing, in a long value chain, the biggest company, which is thousands of crores, puts the maximum squeeze on the smallest company, which is 3 to 5 crores, which is surprising and wrong. Okay, so if an SME, whatever the size of the opportunity, it can be 10 crores, 50 crores, 100 crores, 200 crores, building a brand is what weathers them against all the challenges of a very turbulent market. And SMEs are extremely important for India because they will be the job creators. And I'm a great believer that large companies need to work with small companies and form an ecosystem where both of them win. And that's the only way an SME can grow.
That's true. Okay, on that note, we'll take a quick break. But on the other side, Mr. Shivkumar and me get in conversation with Alok Agarwal of Ozone India, who has some questions to ask Mr. Shivkumar. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the 10th Emerging India Awards series, and joining me and Mr. Shiv Kumar now is Alok Agarwal of Ozone India. Now Alok, I know you have a couple of questions that you want to throw at Mr. Shiv Kumar about the brand issues that are plaguing your company. So let's start off.
Thank you for having me here, Sumit. So the big question which all the entrepreneurs or companies, especially the small medium, would want to know is, when is a brand and what is the definition of brand? And what does it mean to a SME versus a large corporate?
Yeah, so when you're an SME, a brand is a brand when you get differential and better terms compared to anybody else. Okay, that is what I would look for from an SME. So if your payment terms is 60 days, it comes down to 30. Or people put you down as the most preferred partner. Or people invite you into their discussions to say, hey, what should we be doing in innovation as part of the ecosystem? That's when you truly made your impact as a brand in the SME sector.
SMEs generally do have this issue about wanting to do advertising, wanting to do marketing, wanting to build brand, but without breaking their bank, which is one of their key concerns. So how do you address that?
SMEs are typically cash starved. They have lots and lots of enthusiasm, lots and lots of ideas, etc. I think the key thing is to stay focused. Okay, and that is the biggest challenge for SMEs.
So there's always in the mind of an SME leader or a CEO is that advertising and brand building is a function of how much advertising dollars you can spend. So how much of a brand building exercise is really a function of money and the other activities?
A lot of brand building is a function today of great products. If you have a great product, people will give you a lot of word of mouth. And second is getting his users to talk about it in social media, again, is a very powerful thing. Okay, getting onto television, etc. is far more expensive. And for that, you need to have the opportunity there before you to say, hey, this is big enough for me to do this. Because your advertising and marketing expenditure typically, okay, in a high margin product would be about 20-30%. In businesses which are 30% margin, you can only afford about 5-6%. Right. So you have to really make it count. So that 5-6% has to be of a turnover of 500 or 1,000 crores. Okay, if it's of 100 crores, it will just pass by like a ship in the night.
So far, generally, it's been when brands have been pushing to the consumer and not listening. But now with digitization, with social media, we're starting to listen more to the consumer. How's that on your end?
So in a smaller organization, the leaders are more onto the ground. They're onto the manufacturing side or the procurement side of the product, and they're also interacting with the consumers, the customers, and building the relationships, as Mr. Shiv Kumar just mentioned. So when you're building the relationship, so it's also a two-way communication. So you get a better feedback about the product, and you're able to come back to your drawing board, do a better product, or do a lot of things, and listening to the consumer, as you mentioned. But as the organization grows, and as you got layers of management and sales teams, so that becomes more of a challenge, because some of it is Chinese whispers, some of it is what people have built up perceptions about the product or the company or the market, what they want to tell you. So if a company, I feel, needs to innovate and continuously have the right relationship and the product mix, they need to continuously get the feedback from the customers to be able to communicate with them in a very proper and a continuous manner.
I just wanted to sidestep here and talk to you about Tier 2, Tier 3 rural India rather. How important is it to be able to push into that, because everybody talks about the next step of growth coming in from middle India or rural India. So with using brand and with making it more like SME specific, what's the outlook there? What's the viewpoint on that?
Tier 2 towns are actually growing much faster in their hunger for brands, in their hunger for services compared to even the metropolitan cities. For example, in mobile phones, the replacement cycle in Tier 2 cities is better than even in metros. So they are a huge market willing to be and waiting to be tapped. And I think getting your access there is important. Okay, and how you access is it important? Do you do it directly? Do you do it via franchise system? Do you do it via e-commerce system? So you just need to think about what's the best way to access it, because that's the costliest piece of the value chain.
Mr. Shivkumar, when you talk about a brand, we talk about the external communication. So a brand to a consumer, a brand to my customer, to my B2B or B2C market. But what about the importance of a brand inwards? So brand to the employees, that also is really important.
See, internal engagement is extremely important. The most important thing you need amongst the employees in any company is pride in the brands you sell. Okay. By definition, an entrepreneur has it because he's collected a bunch of people who say, we are the underdogs, we're going to take on the big boys. So automatically they say, we want to do everything for the betterment of the consumer and the customer. It's not so easy in a large corporation. In a large corporation, how do you get that pride to say, we sell the best products in the cleanest possible way and we should be proud of it? Okay, that's a difficult exercise, and that's a continuous exercise of engagement, continuous exercise of communication, truth-telling, and building that in the company itself.
So before we wind up, one final question for you, Mr. Shivkumar, is what do you think are the important mantras that a company, an SME, should keep in mind when it's building its brand so that it can differentiate itself, its product, its company, its service from the competition?
So if I look at the history of SMEs, here Silicon Valley, etc., Silicon Valley is different because it's technology and they change their strategy almost every week, okay, and that's the right thing to do. The biggest thing an entrepreneur needs to worry about is his cash flow. That's what trips all entrepreneurs, number one. Second is, entrepreneurs typically, they're rarely one, there are 2-3 people, okay, and the second thing which trips that group is infighting or a view of what they should be doing and how they should be investing. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, I would say first sort these two out. Sort out your cash flow, sort out your differences with your partners. Then think about the brand building, etc. Okay, don't jump to brand building without sorting these two out.
So look at the cash flows, ensure there's no infighting between the entrepreneurs, and then go out and build your brand. Thank you so much, Mr. Shivkumar, for coming on the show. Thank you, Alok, for being here with us. Thank you so much for watching. That's all on this episode. But next time, we'll bring on board another mentor and another mentee. Until then, from the entire team, many thanks for watching.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.